Greetings, everyone. It is Crime Talk with Crin, and we are back with episode 10. Finally got to my 10th episode. I am very excited. I do not have a whole lot of time, so today we are going to be discussing the IDAHO4 case, the quadruple homicide that took place in around the University of Idaho in November of 22. We are 18 months since Brian Koberger has been arrested for this atrocity, and we are still sitting here scratching our heads trying to figure out if he actually did it. I know that there is a huge population of people who believe without a question that they got their guy, that law enforcement has done their due diligence, they arrested the right person, and the rest of us are just nut job conspiracy theorists who have nothing better to do. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion. Here at Crime Talk with Crin, I am going to discuss my opinion. I'm also going to discuss some things that I had picked up on in the true crime community. Some of the creators have been having a discussion that has piqued my interest, and I decided to chime in. I know that I said that I don't have a lot of time. I also know that I always say that I'm not going to be here long, but like for real, I'm going to try to be quick today. So right now for this video, episode 10, the only thing that I want to discuss very quickly is it has been brought to my attention that, there's two PCAs. We all knew that, right? There's Brett Payne's PCA, and then it's, I believe, Dustin Blaker, his PCA. So, now, everyone since very, very early on has been discussing how it's basically copy and pasted, which should be a red flag there for whoever was on the receiving end of these affidavits, because it's like, hey, if this is supposed to be your experience, your words, and your experience, your words, why are they exactly the same? And when I say exactly the same, I mean, you have to be one of those people who pay close attention to detail to identify any differences. Now, someone has brought it to my attention, not directly, but I was watching a video, and they had mentioned that Brett Payne says he later noticed the knife sheath on the bed near or under Maddie. And then in Blaker's PCA, it says that he was later told by ISP that they found the knife sheath with the DNA, So, who cares? Why is that important? That's why I'm here today. So, how is it that Brett Payne and I think it's Dustin Blaker are both there at the same time? Their probable cause affidavits are identical, except for this one little detail. Brett Payne says that he saw the knife sheath on the bed. Blaker says that he was told that a knife sheath was found on the bed. Now, Blaker says that ISP told him about the knife sheath. Brett Payne says he saw it. So, according to these two affidavits side by side, Brett Payne is saying that he found the knife sheath on the bed. So, Brett Payne's affidavit says that he found the knife sheath. Blaker's affidavit says that ISP told him that there was a knife sheath found. So I know you're probably thinking, okay, you just said that, like, girl, get on with it. What that means is that according to these two guys, if we put their stories together, Brett Payne, who was with Blaker, found the knife sheath. ISP knows that Brett Payne found the knife sheath. And then ISP tells Blaker, hey, we got a knife sheath. It doesn't make sense because you see in the search warrant that they're looking for knives and sheaths. But y'all said that y'all found it at the crime scene. None of that makes sense. But who cares? What's the purpose of there being any difference at all? If we're copy and pasting, right? If I took your paper and just changed and put my name on there instead of yours, why change one part? Right? This isn't an exam. It's not like, oh, I want to get a couple questions wrong so you don't think I cheated. This is like verbatim. This is plagiarism checker flagged. Somebody got to go. Like, this is bad. This is bad. One person wrote this affidavit and another person took it to be their own. Fine. But in a case this big, in a case that could possibly lead to the death penalty for someone, in a case that has 4 students, 4 children, I know they're in their 20s, some people act like that's, beyond grown, but they're college students. They had their whole lives ahead of them. This is, right off the college campus. This is a big deal. So how is, and I know that a big issue that I have when dealing with these cases is that I watch too much TV. I watch too much Law and Order and CSI and Criminal Minds and the like. But on those shows, you always see like the captain or the lieutenant gathering up their people saying, hey, we need to make sure that this is by the book. We cannot risk any mistakes. You got to do this by the book. How is it that in a case this high profile, how is it that in a case this big, this major, this is a historical event in Moscow, Idaho. This will forever be a historical event associated with the University of Idaho. I'm trying to figure out how it is that something of this magnitude, you could be doing some flim-flammy, let me just take your PCA and put my name on it. What? In this day and age where you have internet sleuths coming out the woodwork, how could something like this slide? But also, what is the point? Here's what I think. So, one of the probable cause affidavits said that he found the knife sheath. He later found the knife sheath on the bed in the room halfway under Maddie. Now, I did a video, earlier video, I don't remember which episode, where I discussed Dawn Daniels out of Washington with her supplemental request for disclosure saying, hey, there's about to be some talk about some DNA and some IgG and something about a knife sheath, and I'm going to just let y'all know I don't have nothing to do with that. That's basically what Dawn Daniels was saying. Dawn Daniels was saying, hey, there's a chance that all this hoorah about knife sheaths, DNA, and IgG is going to be inadmissible. I don't think it's exculpatory, but if you think it's exculpatory, pretend you ain't heard nothing about this. Like, just act like it didn't happen. If you don't think it's exculpatory, go ahead and do what you want with it. But if you do think it's exculpatory, just act like we ain't saying nothing about it. That's basically what Dawn Daniels was saying. Dawn Daniels was saying, hey, y'all, because I took an oath and in the essence of transparency, I'ma just tell y'all I'm not with none of this. That's what Dawn Daniels was saying. And I feel like Blaker was doing the exact same thing. I feel like in Blaker's PCA, he was saying, hey, somebody told me that there was a knife sheath found. I ain't seen no knife sheath. I wasn't there when they found it. I don't know nothing about it. I feel like that's what Blaker changing that one part of his PCA to say, I was later told by ISP. He didn't even say. Brett Payne was like, Blaker, Sarge, you see this? He didn't even say that. Blaker didn't even say that his partner, the person that he was there with, he didn't even say, Brett Payne told me. He said ISP. Brett Payne and Blaker are with Moscow PD. Blaker said that Idaho State Police told him that a knife sheath was found. He didn't put no name on it. Because Blaker's like, listen, when the funk hits the fan, I do not want to get sprayed. I didn't have nothing to do with it. I didn't see no knife sheath. I wasn't in the room when they found it. Nobody told me. I wasn't there. I don't know what the later, all I know is later on ISP told me that they had one. That's all I know. I didn't say if it was later that day. I didn't say if it was later that week. All I said was later on. I had heard, I could have been at the water cooler eavesdropping and heard somebody say, that's what Blaker is giving. Blaker is like, both Blaker and Dawn Daniels have both put distance in between themselves and this knife sheath. And Brett Payne is standing on it. Brett Payne's like, listen, I found it. Brett Payne is saying that he found the knife sheath, but Blaker and Dawn Daniels are like, listen, this about to be some bullshit. I wasn't there. I don't know nothing about it. You ain't heard it from me. Listen, so when people start talking about the knife sheath being planted, when people start talking about the DNA being planted, when people start talking about the fact that the K-bar knife sheath has a brass button snap, and brass is important because it doesn't transfer bacteria, so therefore we don't know when the knife sheath got there. We don't know when the DNA got on the button snap. All we know is that from the time that suspect vehicle 1 left the area at a high rate of speed to the time that 911 was dispatched to the King Roadhouse, 8 hours had passed. 8 hours had passed. So when you factor in military grade brass button snaps and touch DNA, trace DNA, potentially skin cells, when you factor in that, when you factor in a 911 call that has yet to be released 18 months later, but in the beginning, they said that the 911 dispatcher spoke to multiple people. They said that the call came from one of the roommates' phones, but it wasn't the roommate who called. When you factor in a scene that was not contained, when you factor in all these people traipsing through before 911 was even called, When you factor in Brett Payne said he showed up at 4 o'clock, 911, the 911 call happened at noon. Brett Payne showed up 4 hours after that. So now we are 12 hours since suspect vehicle 1 left the area at a high rate of speed. So when you factor in all of these things, and people start saying something in the milk ain't clean, when people start saying that Brian Koberger was set up, was framed, the evidence was planted, the DNA was planted, and then fast forward to this mysterious document that all we know is that the defense responded to a document that we still haven't seen, talking about the state said that the PCA was irrelevant. They had been saying from the beginning that they were going to file a motion in limine to completely eliminate the IGG from the whole conversation. They still haven't done that. They said, the state said that they were going to file a motion in limine to completely push the IGG out of the conversation. It say like, we're not using this, it's not going to come up, don't worry about it. When the defense team, when Ann Taylor kept asking for the IGG over and over, and they were like, you don't even need it, like we're not even gonna, you don't need none of this, it's not like we're not even gonna bring it up, you don't need to see it because we're not gonna use it. I said this before, if there's no DNA, what do they have? If you eliminate the knife sheath, bow from the conversation. The knife sheath's gone. So, as people like to say, fruit of the poisonous tree. If there's no knife sheath, there's no DNA. If there's no DNA, there's no IgG. If there's no IgG, there's no family tree. So how did you get to Brian Koberger? Y'all start talking about the trash at the daddy's house. Then y'all start talking about, oh, well, we did a mouth swab on Brian Koberger, and that matched what? Matched what? Because now if there's no knife sheath, if we say the knife sheath is inadmissible because there's too much funny business regarding chain of command, or possession. The word is escaping me. Custody. Boom. There's too much flim-flammy, wishy-washy, gray details regarding the chain of custody with the knife sheath. Who found it? Where did they find it? When did they find it? What is this later that we're talking about? Y'all had a whole house full of college kids that got called over there before the police, so you don't know if Brian Koberger dropped a knife sheath like a dummy when he was in there doing what y'all are saying he did in there. I'm still stuck on the fact that why in the world would I bring a knife sheath if I was ready to go handle some business? Because I'm not going to put a bloody knife back in a leather sheath. That's dumb. So why would I bring it? What was it hooked to? How did it come off? Y'all said single source of male DNA. Was there not DNA from the victims on it? What are we talking about? This is the kind of stuff, and that's why I get frustrated when people are, oh my God, it's so obvious. They have a mountain of evidence. It's so obvious. His DNA was at the scene. Oh my God. If they said that they have, got his DNA from under somebody's fingernails, okay. But again, and I told y'all how I feel about the 3 DNA samples that were not tested. So if y'all didn't bother finding out and going through IGG and digging in nobody else's mama and daddy's trash to find out who those 3 DNAs were, why did you do that to find out whose DNA this was? When y'all had who knows how many people traipsing through a crime scene before 911 was even called. Y'all don't know where none of this mess came from. Y'all got a latent footprint, which is obvious somebody tried to clean up in here. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. That's all I'm saying. I said I wasn't going to be long. I always, I get excited. I'm here. Listen, I'm trying to grow my channel. I'm trying to get back to the consistency that I had when I started my channel. I'm trying to get back to that. There's a lot going on. I know people think that because the trial hasn't started, that there isn't anything going on. There is a lot going on in this case. Content creators are digging. The sleuths are sleuthing. There is a conversation to be had, okay? I'm going to try to come back, excuse me, again, because I have a lot that I want to talk about. But please, I'm trying to grow my channel. If you have not already, subscribe to my channel, please. Share the video, like the video, leave me a comment, let me know what you think. It's going down. It's going down. And the last thing that I want to say before I get up out of here is that if you are familiar with the Micah Miller case, you know that they have released the 911 call. They have surveillance footage from where she bought her lunch, where she bought the weapon. They have witnesses doing interviews and the whole nine immediately. Micah Miller lost her life on April 27th. It's not even May 27th yet, and we got everything. We got everything. And there's a pastor involved in here. There's a church involved in here. There is a simultaneous FBI investigation because apparently the pastor is a whole flim-flammer evading it and such. Alleged grooming and things. And they still let everything out. They let the cat, dog, and barracudas out the bag in the Micah Miller case. And for IDAHO4, we are 18 months down the line, and we can't even get a 911 call. Y'all are saying that the PCA is irrelevant. This is bad. This is bad. I'm not going to stop talking about it. I'm not going to stop digging into it. Please, please, please drop a comment with your favorite content creators, your favorite channels, so I can know, who to follow. I found some new folks recently. What's his name? Pavarotti, he's very thorough. Very, very thorough. So listen, drop your favorite content creators down. Let me know what you think about this. Let me know what you think about the difference between the PCAs. Let me know what you think about Dawn Daniels and her supplemental disclosure. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Do you think that Bryan Kohberger did it? I did a TikTok. I did a series. I think it was a 5-part TikTok. 5-part TikTok series last summer. It was June of 23, where I discussed whether or not I believed Bryan Kohberger was framed. That link will be in the description box to my TikTok page. I'll probably start making some little TikToks and shorts over there again. But yes, like, share, subscribe to my channel. That's all I got for today.